Okay, welcome to Bitrix Live. I'm Damien Edwards, Commercial Manager of Bitrix Partners Interface. We're based in the UK. We have offices in New York and Dubai, and with me I've got our Support Manager, Andy Naylor.
Hi guys, so throughout this 1 hour session we're going to take any questions that you may have on Bitrix, and we can show you on the screen here on a cloud version or on the self-hosted version. We've got both versions up here. And if you want to get any questions in, just put them in the box on YouTube, and you can also tweet us at Interface, and you can also email us to live@interface.com. And if you have any questions throughout the week, please send them along to that email address and we can answer them in next week's session. So we're here to help, so please send in any questions that you may have.
Shall we just start with the differences? You mentioned we've got a self-hosted and a cloud edition open here. Should we just start with the difference between those? So this is a self-hosted product. Let's go to the cloud one first. This is the cloud product. They look the same. They look exactly the same from the front end. They function the same. They include essentially all the same features. Self-hosted product has some additional functionality, some additional features, but the main additional functionality is that it can be customized, and so you have this control panel access across the top, and you have this admin bar that's visible to administrators. If we just click down show here, we can create pages and sections, and we can edit existing pages. So I can go into the edit mode on a particular page, and I can roll over a particular component part. Let's go to the menu, and we can customize then the menu, the running order, or the descriptions on those menus. So we can edit existing pages, and we can create new pages. There's some other extra functionality available in the back end. Essentially Bitrix in the self-hosted edition is a platform that allows you to really build out anything that you want. So you can achieve a lot more with it. It's called self-hosted, but it's delivered as a cloud product. Unless you want it on a closed network, then you can do that. But generally, it's delivered as a cloud product. You access it over the internet through a browser. We host it, or you host it on your own web server, but we can host it in our data center or another partner's data center. So they're the same. The functionality, they look the same. They're the same product essentially, but the self-hosted can be more advanced in the way it can be configured. So if you've got any questions, post your questions in YouTube. We had a question come in by email, which we can kick off with. I would like to build a workflow that manages my lead stages. So they've sent in some different stages. So send an email with a form, pause, receive reply from customer with form, send another email confirmation, update the stage of the lead, and then create a deal. So let's have a look at that in the CRM. If we go into CRM and leads, and if we open up any leads, so we can do this inside a lead, or we can do this inside the settings page here. Let's just open that up. We'll go into the settings and show where that is. Go into automation, we go into here, into leads. You can create automated workflows within there, or you can go into a lead and then click in. I'm not sure if, this link is visible to everybody, so regardless of your permissions, you can see this link. Allows you to see what's actually being triggered in terms of what stage you're up to with any actions that have been performed.
Yeah, just with regards to that, you can actually set your permissions, can't you, to who can edit these particular rules. So you have a write permission on the automation rules in here, then you also have a read-only permission. So you would usually set your normal users to read-only. So like Damien said, you can see the progress of what's been triggered. Yeah. And then your administrators would likely have the administration rights to be able to edit this.
Yeah, so depending on what you need to do. If you're an admin, you see configure, or if you have the rights and dimension, you see configure automation rules. So we can go into here. You'll see that This lead has these stages across the top, so we would have to need to change some of these stages. We'll probably not do that in detail now. Let's have a look. But you would want something like email sent would be the first, or the second stage would be email sent. Next stage will be received reply from customer. Then we would have a send follow-up email, and then we would have a final stage which would create deals. So you probably have about 6 different stages. But essentially the stages that you have up here, let's just go and show you where you change those, or not change them, but if you go back into the settings, and if we go to forms and reporting, in fact, if we go to start point, we go to statuses and drop downs, and if we go into lead statuses. Okay, so the first one that opens up is lead statuses. You can see down the left hand side. These here are deals. There's lots of different options in terms of deals. You can create different stages for different deal pipelines. So these are all different deal pipelines. But you can change within here things like the drop downs, the standard drop downs you have in company type, lead sources, industry, those sort of standard drop downs that you need to categorize the opportunities in your CRM. But we can change the status in here. We can rename these like this. We can add additional statuses as well. You can color these as well. Let's get rid of that one. You can color them to suit. So if we go back into the lead, we create our stages, probably say about 6. And the first, as you can see across the top, those are your stages. Across the bottom, these stages are replicated, and below those you can see the rules or the actions that will be performed when each of these stages are updated. So first thing we would do is send out email. So we already have a send email item in here. If we open it up, we can see that, in fact, this one runs within 3 days. So maybe we want to send the email out immediately. We could change that time period. We can add, if necessary, conditions. So we can look at, you can look at any of the fields within the lead, and then you can set.
I think with the conditions it's quite useful, isn't it? Because you may get leads that are interested in different types of products. So you can have a custom field that maybe said products interested in, and maybe you could, if you were a web agency, for example, it may be that you create a new lead that says website design. You create a new lead type that says I don't know, logo design, and based on that, you can then, like Dim is setting up here, you could say if the condition product interested in equals website, you could send them an email automatically that has all the information about your website design services, compared to if your product interested in said logo, then you would send an email back with all the details about your logo services. So the condition is really quite a powerful tool, especially if you've set up some useful custom fields.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can create our condition. We could then have a series of different emails that send out. Maybe only one's going to match the condition for different circumstances. So you do different. You're operating differently for different clients and different opportunities. So we can put in our content in here. Let's say hello. We've brought in dynamically their first name. So we brought that in from the email using the link over here. So we've used first name here, and that's brought in this, which will populate with their first name. So we might want to say, please complete form. We then need to add a form into there. We can do that within Bitrix as well. We can create a form within Bitrix. We go off this screen for a minute, and if we go into CRM forms, we can add a new form. Let's call it email, and we can populate there. We can add the fields that we need to capture in this form. So we might want name, last name, date of birth, company name, and any other standard fields, but also any other custom fields. It might be that you have some drop downs that you want people to complete in here, or you might want some free text fields that they complete. So you can create your form using standard fields that are created, or any custom fields that you create for this particular purpose. There is ways to, we'll assign this this particular inquiry to a particular user if you want to do that, and we'll choose down here what it actually generates. So when the form is completed, what do we want to do? What do we want to see inside Bitrix? Usually a lead for a form, but you can create a new contact or deal or quote any of these items. Can do some customization to the design, or use a standard template. Set a few of the fields in there, but you can generate your form. I won't generate that one, but if we just go back and click in a form that we've already created, click on embed code, and it gives us the code. So we could either embed this in a public facing website. We'll then use the URL of the page we created on that website, and this will populate the form into a page. Or you can embed it as a button on a website as well, and that will pop up the form. So we can create the form. We can view the form. So although we can embed this on a public website, on your own website, you can use the standard form that's generated within Bitrix, and we can use this URL.
Yeah, just one thing with this, and we've done this for quite a number of our clients, is that you can see, well, we're currently on a self-hosted version, so it's on our own domain name first of all, which you can do in the cloud, but professional cloud version as well. However, in the self-hosted version, you can actually template this page up. So if you wanted this to match your branding of your site, you can actually do that. Saying that as well, now you can actually add this form to a Bitrix site. So if you created a Bitrix site, which we're probably going to touch upon, we've got a couple of questions about that later on, then you can embed this form in a Bitrix site.
Yeah. Okay. So you can do this all inside Bitrix, or you can do parts of it in Bitrix and integrate them with your existing website. Or so if we copy that form over into our email, we can, Andy will show us this, I think. Can we put in some, can we simplify this? Can we make this into a nicer?
Yeah, you would need to just switch into source code mode, and what you can do here, so you can see we have it automatically makes it a link. So what we could do is just switch this to go to the end of the link tag and say, I don't know what you want to say,
complete form.
And then if we switch back to the visual mode.
Cool. So please complete form. So there's no arguments about what we want them to do, and that's it. So we can save that. So we've done the first stage. Well, we have created the form, we've got a URL, we've created an email, we've populated the email with a link to the form. Second stage is that we will receive a reply from the customer with the completed form. So we need to use, if you just imagine that we've got quite a few other things going on here, imagine that we're going to delete these items here. I can probably delete that one, or not delete them all. But in the first stage, we're just going to have an email. What we're going to do then is look for completed forms, CRM form submission in here, and we choose our form. So I don't know what we called it, but let's say it's that one, and we'll save that. So should this form will get completed, it will generate a lead. In addition to that, it will update the stage of this lead to this second stage within here.
And that's usually based on matching it with. That's usually based on matching it with the email that you put into the form. Is that right? So the email will match against this particular lead that's coming in. Yeah.
Okay. We can do some different things. So if you wanted, instead of them to complete a form, but you just ask them to reply to the outgoing email, we can do things like look for an incoming email from the address, from the sender's address, from the email from the sender's email that matches the email we have on the lead. So you need to have an email address populated in the lead for this to work. We can do this email link clicked. I think it's quite nice. So we can also progress the stage of a lead based on them just clicking on the link. So we've created a link to a form. We could use that as a trigger to update the stage. So obviously there's some interest and activity from the prospect, so we might want to update the stage.
Yeah, and another reason why the email link clicked is good is if we went to the CRM marketing and sent out an email marketing campaign based on maybe a list of all your leads, then you can actually target that email marketing campaign with an email link clicked from within that campaign. So if you say, you send an email campaign out, are you interested in our services, click here, you could have that link specified within here, so you could put the actual tracking link in here, and as soon as that user arrives, then it's going to...
And of course we could have a series of these, couldn't we, so that different links can trigger different actions if you want to do that. So in this case the form submission is going to update our stage. This stage is going to be called something like, in this example, give something like form complete, so we know where we are and what's happened. That is going to trigger a second email. We would go to communications and create an email. Let's just save that into there and drag that up so we can see that at the top. So it's going to send out a follow-up email. We can do the same thing. And it wants to then also update the stage to create a deal. So actually what this needs to do now is, oops, not that one. It wants to do now is, let's take some of these out. I guess we don't need these. So update the stage. Change status. So what we'd want to do is change it to qualified customer. So I think we've renamed the kind of,
there we have it.
Yeah, we've renamed the won and lost stages on a lead here to qualified customer and lost customer. This would be in your out of the box Bitrix, I think just won and lost lead. So we would use that qualified customer. Again, if you want to add in a condition, you can do that. But essentially we want to change, in this case, we want to send out a follow-up email and then we want to change the stage. So we would do it again immediately, and then we can save that. So that will trigger, bypass these two stages here, or sorry, bypass this stage. It will trigger a completed lead, which will automatically generate a deal in this case. So what's happening here? This is updating it to a one deal, but you might have some actions that actually trigger it to this intermediate stage as well. So you're still going to need these intermediate stages. We couldn't delete that stage. So I think that's generally it, in that we automatically send out an email when the lead is created, sends a link to a web form. When the web form is completed, we've got a trigger here which will update this to this stage. This will send out a follow-up email, and then it will automatically get converted. So it's quite a simple, quite a short process.
We often, in terms of the lead side of Bitrix, we often get asked what are the sole purposes for it, and we would usually say they are new enquiries into any product or service that you're offering. Mm-hmm. So, and that's the good thing about having these status changes in there. So if we were to, what we generally recommend is that once your new inquiries come in through the number of different sources that Bitrix has integrated with it, such as the web forms, the telephony, the CRM marketing, and so on, then we would usually automate that process, like Damien put, change status to move it along. So you're sort of qualifying those leads automatically based on the interaction with, in your case, what you were setting up the emails. And then once you get into the lead, into the conversion to a deal, then we would usually say that we would class deals as qualified opportunities. So you can drop it into particular pipelines in the deals, and you can qualify those opportunities to become a solid sale then, and then you can report on deals as your sales.
So we had an inquiry recently from a guy who sells aircraft, and he makes about 3 sales a year and deals with about half a dozen or a dozen or so companies. So he didn't really need this sort of lead stage. He doesn't receive inquiries from various sources, doesn't receive large volumes of inquiries. He has a very small number of prospects or customers. So he doesn't need this stage. So you can now turn that off. If you click into settings and CRM mode, then you can go to simple CRM. So classic includes leads. Simple CRM mode will disable the lead module altogether, and in that case you would just create it. If you get a new prospect, you just create them as a company. I guess if you're selling large capital products, large value products, then each inquiry is worth following up. So you would just generate a company straight away without generating a lead. Can be a bit simpler sometimes to generate a lead, though, even if you're automatically or always converting them to companies in the system, because you get presented with one form. So if we open this up, lead name, source, the person's name, first name, middle name, last name, position, the company name, the website. Of course, this is a customizable form, but once I've completed this form, I can close that. I can close that down, and I can convert it then to what I want to convert it to. So deal, company, and contact. So I can use one form in a lead, create 3 different records that are all associated with each other, quicker than creating those records separately. So we internally do that sort of thing, and so it might be that you don't need that qualification stage, but it is still worth using leads to add new opportunities to your system. Yeah.
Okay. So we're just going to jump out of the CRM at a moment, and this is a fairly quick question. It's to do with the new sites module, and one of the questions was about setting up a site just based on it was a question around the URL, setting up their own domain name. So for those that are fairly new to Bitrix, Bitrix offers the ability to set up an actual site. So if I just jump into our cloud site that we've got on here, because we do have a site set up within here, and in Bitrix, just a quick overview of what you can do is you can create multi-page websites. So you can create an unlimited amount of pages within a website, like a classic website, or you can create single-page websites, so landing pages. So what we were mentioning earlier, just when we put that link into the particular form, it may be that if we just go to this particular site that we've set up, it may be that you just have, you can see it on our own domain, landing.interface.com, and just put the form that way. It's rather than using the public link form, because you can style it up to your branding, and it's all very straightforward. So it's up to you. That's just a very quick overview. We did do a webinar basically on the full site setup, so from creating a new site through to setting it up. But the question was revolving around the actual configuration of the site. So if we go into here, you can see here that we have a site address, and it's as simple as if you wanted to add your own domain, you simply can. You just need to obviously own the domain. So in this case, we have cakeshop.interface.com, so it's on a subdomain of our main domain. And you can see here what the record that you need to put into your DNS record where your domain is registered. And it's as simple as that. It takes roughly around about, I would say up to 24 hours to configure to register a new domain name. I think we can register a domain name for you if you want. So if you don't want to use this, or you don't have your own domain or something like that, we could do that for you, or we could. Yeah, and then there's just another point that Bitrix offers when you set up your own domain. It actually adds an SSL certificate for you, so which is really, really powerful for obviously optimization now. Google's looking favorably on secure sites with an SSL certificate, and you can see here that this is HTTPS secure site, and when you create a new site it does it automatically, so you don't need to worry about purchasing an SSL certificate or anything like that. Bitrix will configure that for you when you set up your domain.
Okay, so this is free with Bitrix. Depending on the package you have, I think if you have a free cloud packet edition, you can create one website, so completely free. So no need to install WordPress or any other platform now. You can do it on Bitrix. If you have one of the commercial subscriptions, I think it goes from 5 sites to 10. The reason why you might want more than one site is you might want a main site, and then you might want mini sites or landing pages for marketing purposes. So businesses that do email campaigns generally might have multiple landing pages. You might have a landing page per product group, or you might even have a landing page per email campaign that you do in order to be able to track those campaigns.
Because that's how quick they are to set up, isn't it, really? I think if you're going to do an email campaign once a month, once every 2 weeks, then you can actually set up one of these in under an hour if you had all the graphics and everything ready.
Yeah. Can I control inventory on Bitrix that will reduce if items are purchased on a website? So let's have a look in the system. If you go into the CRM and we go into products, if we go into one of these products we've got set up, then let's just edit that and see what sort of fields are available. So we can add our products into the CRM, which allows you to add products then to quotes and deals and invoices. You can have multi-currency, and you can have a default currency for invoicing and reporting, so that you can get decent workable data on sales in a single currency. So you set your exchange rates, you can vary those exchange rates so that you get accurate reporting. You can set different VAT rates for different regions. But the question is that if a product, can I reduce it if it's purchased on the website? Well, you cannot currently. Bitrix doesn't include e-commerce functionality as it stands, but it will be launched towards the end of this year. So Bitrix sites doesn't allow you to do that, purchase products anyway. If you were wanting to integrate with an existing site, then it would be possible to do that. I think you would need almost definitely need a self-hosted edition. So one of the benefits of the self-hosted is that it does have a full API which allows you to do that integration. So, but the second part of the question is, so let's say we do the integration, so the products are purchased on your e-commerce site, you want to then reduce the quantity in stock. Well, actually, Bitrix doesn't really manage inventory in that way, but if you have the self-hosted edition, you can create a custom field in here that has stock level, called stock level. You can put a figure in it, and it would be possible to do some customization on the self-hosted to reduce that number, but I guess it's not really built for that as standard, so certainly not on the cloud. On the self-hosted, I guess if you're using Bitrix across all other areas of your business, then it's worth the investment on that side to customize it to manage that little area that maybe it's not doing at the moment. So if you got in touch with us, we could give you some costings to set that up.
I think one of the common questions that we get with regards to Bitrix is a lot surrounding about integration, and Bitrix on the cloud and the self-hosted does have preset integrations with financial packages such as PayPal, Xero, QuickBooks. And for those of you that weren't aware of the different applications, just jump back to our cloud site. In the left-hand menu, you have an applications menu link here. So this is where you can find all sorts of integrations that are pre-built. So we have, like I mentioned, we have a lot of financial, we have SMS, and so on. So you can just search for them in here, and that's about available for the cloud and the self-hosted. When we go into terms of the integrations on the self-hosted, we can obviously do a lot more and a lot more customized for your requirements. So you can imagine the apps here may not be tailored towards your business, but we can do quite a lot of customizations on the self-hosted version outside of this area here in the application store.
What's this burn-up chart? Oh. Okay, some sort of forecasting sort of application. So you can set some sort of resourcing tool, which would be quite good, I guess. There's a bit of a gap in Bitrix on that side. I have a good question here. Is there a way to add news to Bitrix? We post to all our staff currently on our website, and it will be good to show internally. So we get a lot of questions about CRM, quite a few about projects, but really, Bitrix is a social intranet, or at its heart, and so built for team collaboration. So as you know, the homepage is an activity stream that shows you a feed of all people's activities, or people that you're working with, or people that you're going to share a group with. So you want to be able to post news into here. So there's a couple of different ways of doing this. So standard functionality would be to create a post, news story, and create your post in here. You can as a text article, or you can attach a PDF or something. You can link to a video. You can record. We don't have a camera on this one. You can record a video post and share that with people in your organisation. You can style up these posts. Go at 2018 summer post. You can style up these posts here with using a standard editor tool, and that's it. And you can choose who you post it to. By default, it's going to all employees. If I want to send it to departments, then I can do that. I'm going to send it to the whole marketing department there. In addition, if you want to send it out to work groups, you can do it like that as well, or you can send it to individuals. So you can create posts like this. Anybody in these groups or departments will see that in their activity stream, and of course they can then like this. You'll see also an indication of who's actually viewed it. So you can see that's gone to 1 now. I'm viewing it, you can see how many's liked it. You can see how many people have commented on it.
Yeah, I think it's really good for collaboration. Doing it this way, isn't it? I think, like I say, it's pretty much like you're feeding Facebook. If you're everything that you're involved in inside Bitrix. So Denny's posted there to a couple of work groups and a department. Now, if you're in one of those work groups, it's pretty much like a Facebook page. If somebody posts a new message on a Facebook page that you're involved in, then you can, you can see it because you're invited.
You can now change your like status as well. So if we don't want to just like it, but we want to, we don't always, like's not always appropriate for something, so we can change that. Disliking there. Unhappy.
I think just because you've done a news post, again, it's a common question that we get. If we just jump into our self-hosted version of Bitrix, and I think we've still got this running on our system, then you can see that because again the self-hosted is slightly different. We've tailored this a little bit more to having a news section within the actual intranet itself, and we've styled it up so you can add a featured image. So pretty much like blog posting, really. You can post up your news, and this sort of module is only available at the moment on the self-hosted. So you can see here that we have a way of simply adding new news if we were to click into it, and then we can see in here.
Yeah, if we click into the top, go to edit, edit mode, then you can edit this existing story. So you can see the content of the story. If you want to tag it in order for people to be able to search by in that way. You can do that, add your image, choose the section it's going into, so you can categorize them in for different departments or types of news stories. So this editor is just, as Andy said, it's just available in the self-hosted, so it adds more functionality to it. We've got different categories across the top, so people can search through like that. Comment on it as well. So
yeah, it was just while we were posting news on the activity stream, wasn't it? It's just a different.
I think we've got homepage. So in addition, in self-hosted, we created a little bit of a custom homepage as well. So if you don't want the activity stream to be the home for everybody, the more traditional intranet look is something like this, with a mix of news stories, links to other resources. Activity streams and things like that. I can see birthdays and things. I can customize on this page. I go into edit mode again. I can customize any of these items. I can roll over and change that. I want to change where that goes to. So I can change the image. I can change the the link that it goes to. So it could link out to an external service. If it might link out to your finance package or other projects or marketing tools that you use. So yeah, quite a lot more you can do with the self-hosted edition of Bitrix. Can I add space allowance per user? For example, I want to stop them going over 5 gigabytes. Don't think you can with the cloud edition. You have a certain amount of space available depending on which package you've got. If you've got the professional, you have unlimited space, you have that problem. We now have a cleanup tool on the drive, so I guess most of the space, if you're just adding comments and sharing things, sharing news articles and things, that uses doesn't use a lot of space. Most of the space will be taken up by large documents or videos that you're storing.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of documents in our system for the demonstration site, but the good thing about this, and again, it's something that we were asked a lot about in the past, is that we can see where the data is being used inside Bitrix. So if you've got a free account, or if you've got, I think, a standard where you are limited in terms of the space that you can have on your system, you can actually see the work groups that are using up all the space. You can see any recycling bins that haven't been emptied. Usually they do congregate in the recycling bin if you haven't emptied it. So you can see, if we go into advanced mode, then you'll be able to see here a breakdown of who's using. So you can see John Smith there. His user has used 145 megabytes out of the 445.
So it gives you some kind of indication of where it's going and what, essentially some suggestions on what you might want to do. Let's have a look at John Smith there. So all you should want to delete unused file versions and empty the recycling bin for drive John Smith. So we can clean up just for that particular user. It means that they're not going to be able to access their recycling bin, but it might be necessary. We can look through different groups here. So these are work groups. Might be that sales and marketing's not used so much now. We can clean up that. It's not going to delete everything. It's going to delete the recycling bin or unused file types. You can see, and you probably said, by percentage here or total size. Total size used, total size in the recycled bin. So you might, you're going to target the big users here. So yeah, it's a good tool to free up space, but you can't allocate certain amount of space per user. Probably can on the self-hosted. On the self-hosted, you can certainly restrict size of files and types of files that people can upload to try and limit that. Obviously, if you're self-hosting through a partner, the partner's going to charge you per space that you use. If you're self-hosting on a machine internally, if you've got the server in-house, then probably space is not the same sort of issue. It probably doesn't cost you quite as much. But that can be managed in there.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's got any questions that's watching live on YouTube. We haven't had any come in yet, so I think we'll just cover a couple more that
we've got a question on email, which is there a limit to how many people can go on a video call one time? So let's have a look at the messenger tool. On the right hand side is your messenger bar. Well, actually, the top is support. Underneath are your notifications. Right below that, this is your chats, isn't it, from
your open channels.
Open channels. So if you've got an open channel with Facebook or chat widgets on your site, things like that, then you'll see that. You'll see any recent activity as well below that. I can find people within here. I can search for Graham, and we can have a text chat conversation. I can call him, or no option to video call. Too sure why we don't have an option to video call on that. We normally have an option to call or video call.
I think it's because our webcam is in use for Bitrix Live,
probably is,
and that's the reason why.
So you can have a one-to-one chat with somebody. You could have a group chat. You can create these group chats as there's three. You can create like an open chat that anyone can join. You can create a private chat that people have to request to join. You can create a private invisible chat as well. And you can have really any number. No, there's a limit. No other limit to the number of people you can invite into a group like this. But the question is there a limit to how many people can go on a video call? The answer is 4 people on a video call at one time, so we'll be able to video call this whole group. So you can have a text chat message, a chat conversation with any number of people, but less on a video call. This here on the right hand side, we're on a demo site. We've only got one user online at the moment, but this will show you with an indicator over each user whether they're online or away, pretty much like Skype. So you've got all the same functionality that you have in Skype, but this window here, this is built into this operates in the browser window. It's not a separate application that you need to download. It's all available out of the box with Bitrix. Of course, particularly if you've got the self-hosted, you've got full control over this data. So all the chat conversations are stored within your location or within the jurisdiction you need them to be stored within. So many countries have different regulations on data transfer in and out of their location jurisdictions. So with a self-hosted product, this sort of conversations, where your data is being held. You can search for messages as well using this tool here. Search by keyword and search by date and find certain things you need to find out at a later date. You can do that. So 4, the answer is 4. Can I have multiple URLs under one license? I don't know if that might refer to sites. It might refer to. I'm not sure. I mean, when you create a account with Bitrix, they generate a random URL for you on something like something.bitrix24.com. You can then change that URL. I think on any package apart from the free one. And then on this professional package, you can point your own URL to your Bitrix instance and then be able to access it in future on your own URL. Normally, something like portal.yourwebsite.com, something like that, would be the sort of place you're going to point your staff and, of course, suppliers and customers and third parties if you're inviting them in. So that might be a reason why you're asking if you have different URLs. To be inviting third parties in, so having a very long random string .bitrix24.com is not suitable, not great for inviting customers in.
Yeah, I think having your own domain, especially if you said there, having an extranet. If you add the extranet to your site, and again you need a paid package for that. But if you have an extranet, then you're inviting your clients in to the extranet, and they can just go to your main domain that you've got Bitrix hosted on, and you can then once they log in, they will be redirected to the extranet. So it is quite important because it is a public-facing site, especially if you're inviting your clients in. I think it's essential really that you do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're asking, the question was, how can I get multiple? Can I get multiple URLs under one license? I'm not too sure.
I think you can get. I mean, especially on the self-hosted version, you can get two. So if you could have a URL for your intranet, and you could have a URL for your extranet if you wanted to. We've had clients because they want to set up a complete different branding of their extranet on their login page or something like that. That's possible.
Yeah, or it might be that they want multiple instances or something of Bitrix if you operate in different countries. If you have separate businesses under one group business, you might want different URLs for each of those. If you wanted to do that, you would need a self-hosted enterprise edition, and that allows you to create multiple instances and have a separate URL on each instance. So depending on what the reason is, I guess, like I say, it could be sites as well. If you've got a commercial package, then you can do those multiple sites and you can create multiple URLs on there, either random ones or either ones that are hosted on the name you choose .bitrix24.sites, I think it is, or point your own domain to it.
Just got a question with regards to from YouTube. We created some custom fields and imported some data to them, only to realise that the system had default fields we could have used. Is there a way to quickly move the data to the correct fields before deleting? I mean, there's a couple of ways. The quickest way, what I would probably say, is delete all your entries that you've imported, and then use the standard fields and map your data to the standard fields.
Re-import them.
And re-import them, yeah. That's probably the quickest way of doing it. You could create a business process that updates all the standard fields with the custom field data. I don't know if you want to show.
Yeah, let's have a look.
So I'm not sure what you've imported them into. So let's just say if you import them into a lead.
So lead, we add a new template inside lead. Let's just call it mapping. So we're creating a process that is going to be essentially a one-off process that will just copy the data over. Let's do it when changed, because we're going to trigger a change in all records, and that's going to trigger the process. Save that, and we want to, do we want to look for the field, or we want to modify an element?
Maybe modify.
Yeah, modify. Can we copy it across though?
You don't need to. You just select the value of the custom field on the right hand side. So you select the standard field here.
So we're going to say
first name.
Where's first name? First name.
Then what you can do is then find your custom field in this part.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say that the custom field was, we'll put last name in, but don't be confused. This is the custom field.
And this is the standard field inside it.
So what's going to happen is when the process triggers this field, first name, which is your standard field, the Bitrix standard field that you want to populate, it's going to equal the name of your custom field over here. Save that.
And then you would do that multiple times. If you had multiple standard fields and multiple custom fields, I think you can actually add more in one, can't you? I think you can. Add a field. I think you could do this.
Yeah.
And just add all your standard fields down the left hand side and all your custom fields down the right hand side.
Not status. Okay, so we could do that in one action block. So if we save that, if we just go back into template parameters, we just check what we did. We did when changed, so it will trigger when an item is changed. We then went into leads themselves. We would need to change the status or change something on a lead in order for that process to trigger and that data to copy over. So we can do our filter. We're filtering for all leads in progress, but you could remove that. That would open up every single lead you had in the system. We click on select all at the top. This will select everything on this page. If we've got a lot of leads, it'll have multiple pages. So you need to tick select up for all here. It will give you a warning to confirm. You don't want to just give you a confirm that you're happy to actually copy this or to trigger this action on all records within the system. And then we just need to trigger something that actually updates all these. So I guess something like, I mean, a sign responsible person would work, but if all leads are assigned to the same person, set status, great, or make public is probably the best one to use. So that means that the lead becomes available to all people in the system, provided they still have the right permission in the general CRM permission structure to view it. So unless you're actually using this make public for something else, I would generally, when leads are created, by default they're set as make public. So I would just trigger this. If a lead is already made already in the status made public, it will just keep it at made public, but it will edit it, resave it essentially, and trigger the process.
I think if you clicked on edit, and then what that would do is it comes up with all this here,
okay.
And then if you clicked on save,
it might trigger it.
I think that would trigger, or so if you just, let's just see if some of these names change in the last name. The first name should now equal Taylor, for example, on this Lucy. There is quite a lot of leads in here that have.
I think if you've got a very large number, you can't run a process like this. So you might want to do a filter on a certain number of them, and then trigger the process, and then do the filter on the remainder. Or
yeah, I probably shouldn't have selected for all, because I think we do have quite a lot on here. But that's in essence, that's how you would do it. You would select. You would update the fields.
I didn't know we had that edit field, so that allows you to go down here and quickly edit fields in multiple leads at the same time. But I think Andy's right, that will actually go to edit, click save, and that will actually trigger the process on all of these leads.
Yeah, just so the custom fields are in a company, but I guess the business process would be the same. Yeah, exactly the same. You would have it on update, wouldn't you? Yeah. And it's exactly the same. Yes. Oh, and agree. Test it on one. Yeah. Test it on one field. Don't click on all like we've done.
And you can test it. You can tick one, create a test field, tick it, run the process, test that it's done. You can, once you run it on all of them, you can then delete the custom field you've created. And but yeah, I mean the problem with this is whether it's going to run well on very large numbers. So you're going to have to do it on probably. I would say definitely no more than 500 at a time. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're going to potentially have some problems. It will probably look like it's not, or probably not complete before it times out. So but it will work if you do it in sections. Yeah, I think we're coming to the end of this session now. I think we've had covered quite a few questions. I'm going to leave our contact details on the screen for the time being. We've got an office in the US, the UK, and in Dubai. So if one of those offices is closest to you, please get in touch, and we can answer any questions that you may have with regards to Bitrix. So anything from any customizations you may need to any support or any training, or if you're interested in upgrading your license or buying a new one, then you can get in touch with us using the details on the screen. We're here every week, every Thursday at 10 AM Eastern Time on YouTube, on the live. So if you've got any questions, like I said at the start, send them into live@bitrix24.com, and we can pick them up on the next session next week. And other than that, I think we have a webinar just on Monday, don't we, at 11 AM Eastern Time, covering specific areas of Bitrix. So go to our website at intraface.com/webinars, and you can register for those.
Yeah, so you'll find it at the bottom here, webinars, if you go onto the website, and you'll be able to see the next one, which is all to do think that's on the 8th of October. The next one will be on here, so you can register on the screen. Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks.